Good evening, everyone. My name is Napoleon Bell, and I'm the Executive Director with the City of Columbus Community Relations Commission. I'd like to welcome all of you to Veterans Memorial for the Martin Luther King celebration. Now, how many of you braved the warm weather out there on the march on the way over? Woo-hoo. All right. All right. Well, you know what? I saw a lot of youth out there, and that was tremendous because, you know, the youth of yesterday made the civil rights movement as it is and made things happen for these youth and us older folks to be able to make things happen here today. So we're so happy to see the youth involvement and nonviolence. Did everybody sign the nonviolence wall over at City Hall? Yes? No? Well, if you didn't, get back over there and make sure you sign that, because that's something to show that you're committed to nonviolence for this year. Because, as you know, not so long ago, 4 little black girls lost their lives in the fight for civil rights, and they were innocent and lost their life. But then also, we have in our city and throughout the country, young people losing their lives every day. So we've got to continue to fight for nonviolence to make sure that we lose less and less and fewer of our young people, because they are our future, you know, and they are our leaders of today. So I appreciate all of the young people that are here, and I appreciate all the adults that are getting them here and making sure that you do your mentorship, because also, if you can get involved in mentorship, please do that, because that's what makes the difference today in the lives of our young people. Speaking of young people, we have our Martin Luther King Oratorical Contest junior winner here, and she is going to give a rendition of the Black National Anthem and then follow up with her oration that won her at the Oratorical Contest this year. So if you would put your hands together for McKenna Hensley. She's from the Arts Impact. She's in 7th grade, 12 years old. Come on out here, McKenna. And please stand for the Black National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our joy sing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with the steady beat have not a weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our away from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is McKenna Hensley. I'm a 12-year-old 7th grader, and I currently attend Arts Impact Middle School. The topic of my oration is Preacher's Kid. I am a preacher's kid. Think about that for a minute. What does it mean to be a preacher's kid? Many people automatically think stereotypes, like we will always have religious viewpoints, are what preachers to be. Or like in the movies where perfect kids gone wrong. Any of those ring a bell? Think about it. Poet Denise Campbell put it this way: they're often given a bad name, with people saying they're the worst kind. And many have been known to earn the reputation they've been assigned. It seems like preachers' kids are supposed to live above other kids' level. And too often people assume that preachers' kids are of the devil. But all Christians should raise their children to be different from the world's crowd. If all Christians did their part, preachers' kids wouldn't be so singled out. A child of a preacher has high standards expected of them to meet. But they shouldn't be the only ones. We should all follow in Jesus' feet. Dr. King definitely followed in Jesus' footsteps. Why? Because he was a preacher's kid. Not only was he a preacher's kid, but he was a preacher's grandkid. In fact, he was a third-generation preacher. Preaching just ran in the family. Dr. King did not just convey his enthusiasm for fairness and justice by simply stating facts that came to him. He studied other great men from different countries. He developed a cadence in his speeches that were rhythmic. He studied the Bible and made it come alive, and it was relevant to the situation at hand. His core beliefs were power and peace, and out of those came, in his words, the love ethic. And that's what preachers are supposed to do. How did Dr. King stay at work during the Civil Rights Revolution? Dr. King graduated from college and received a doctorate of philosophy. The definition of philosophy is the most basic beliefs, concepts, and attitudes of an individual or group. Dr. King actually impacted people's lives and decisions through the way he spoke. He understood different people's beliefs, their general ideas, and how they acted when it came to these beliefs. It helped that he was a preacher's kid. He listened to outstanding speakers all his life. He developed exemplary speaking skills at a young age. He had many advantages because he was a preacher and a preacher's child. Poet John Donne once said, "No man is an island inside of itself. Every man is a piece of a continent, a part of the main. And man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never sent to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee." In response to Donne, King stated, "By believing this, by living out this fact, we will be able to remain awake through a great revolution." That's what we need to do. Work together as one, mourn the deaths of fellow human beings. Contribute to the revolutions going on in this world. Fight in the revolution. This doesn't mean we must overthrow all our leaders. Show our support. Revolutionaries need great speaking skills. They need tremendous discipline and authority. Preachers' kids almost always have these qualities. We could be the leaders of the pack, but it's not just us. If all people raised their children right, preachers' kids wouldn't be the only ones. We could all follow in Jesus' feet. and in Martin's. By believing these facts and staying involved in all situations that affect us, preachers' kids and all the rest of God's children will remain awake through a great revolution. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone here at Vets Memorial, and those of you who are watching at home. Tonight, we come together to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. By embracing our shared history, we are inspired by the faith of yesterday to learn our role in carrying Dr. King's work forward today.
Just your presence this evening is actually a dedication to Dr. King's legacy. The movement, it's not over yet. The movement is not over yet. We live Dr. King's dream in a number of ways. Each time that we put our brothers and our sisters ahead of ourselves, we continue the work that was started years ago.
Now today we remember when the brave people of this great nation, Jewish and Negro, young and old, stood together despite their differences. Their courage and vision inspired Dr. King and reinforced his faith that a better future was possible. Tonight, their stories will inspire us as well.
We honor the allies who joined Dr. King by remembering them now. We will recall King's time in solitary confinement in Birmingham jails. In these, his darkest moments, his faith may have wavered, but it was never lost. He believed and he persevered until he reached the mountaintop and saw the promised land.
And tonight, we are believers too. Tonight, we honor not only the man, but the movement that changed a nation. Tonight, we join Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. on his journey, which demands that we stand up for freedom and equality.
Enough to start a war. All that I have is on the floor. God only knows what we're fighting for. All that I say, you always say more. I can't keep up with your turning tables under your thumb. I can't breathe, so I won't let you close enough to hurt me. No, I won't ask you to just desert me. I can't give you all you think you gave me. It's time to say goodbye to turning tables. Turning tables. Under haunted skies I see you. Ooh, where love is lost, your ghost is found. I braved 100 storms to leave you. As hard as you try, no, I will never be knocked down. I can't keep up with your turning tables under your thumb. I can't breathe, so I won't let you close enough to hurt me. No, I won't ask you to just desert me. I can't give you all you think you gave me. It's time to say goodbye to turning tables. Turning tables. turning tables, turning tables, yeah. No, no.
It was February 1961. Dr. King was jailed for peacefully protesting along with the Reverend Ralph Abernathy. Rabbi Dresner came by to visit the pair. Dr. King asked the rabbi if he could stay in Georgia a few more days, and Dresner agreed. When Dr. King was released from jail the next day, they would meet to develop strategies that would carry the movement forward into the coming months.
One night in the home of local activist and Dr. William Anderson, the civil rights movement took a big step forward. The evening would prove to be an important foundation for a strong relationship between King and the Jewish community.
Rabbi Dresner.
Shalom.
Now that we're somewhere a bit quieter, how are you finding Albany?
It's better than it was the last time I was here. Last summer, myself, 3 other rabbis, and 14 other ministers came down here as a part of our Freedom Ride. I was scared to death. But when my dear friend, Rabbi Friedman, told me he was coordinating this ride, I said, sign me up.
During that summer, the last bus that left was firebombed by the Klan. It was and still is a trying time.
And I was definitely afraid. I mean, the violence, it gave us all such pause. But when those kids decided to keep riding, how could we stop?
I remember in '55 when my house was bombed during the Montgomery bus boycotts. I knew then that I had to keep going. I had to get off the buses and you had to climb back on them.
There's a passage in the Talmud where one rabbi asks, how does God allow the world to go on with all of the hatred and the violence and the exploitation? And the other rabbi says, every day the world is saved because of the existence of 36 righteous people. During your time boycotting in Montgomery, you became one of those 36.
Well, you, Rabbi Friedman, and the other clergy members are all part of that 36 as well. Every day I try to be one of those 36. Each day we have a chance to save the world anew.
Well, we would call it tikkun ulam, or repairing the world. And you know, Reverend, even though I have heard about it all my life, the first time I believed tikkun ulam was possible was when I heard about your nonviolent approach.
I believe that nonviolence is the only way. I believe it's the only moral way.
Well, nonviolence is a Jewish virtue as well. In Hebrew, there is no hello or goodbye. There is only shalom. There is only peace.
Peace is sometimes lacking in this world.
Here, Negro
Are
lovers.
those protesters?
Go back to where you
Seems
came
that way.
from. You don't belong
There will always
here,
be people
Negro
against the mission of
lovers.
change, Rabbi.
Go back to where you came from. You don't belong here, Negro lovers.
The South will rise again?
The South will rise again. The South will rise
Not if we can
again.
help it, right, Reverend?
That's right. We have to keep moving forward. That is what it's all about. How do you continue moving forward, Rabbi?
Well, I have a past full of moving forward from grim times. In fact, I've even been arrested for quite a few protests myself. But then again, I was only a kid. They let me off.
Young people create a world of change. The Freedom Riders are truly a testament to that.
And I owe it all to my parents. Now, they say that I caused too much of a fuss, but then again, they lost their entire family in the Holocaust. And that is something they have raised me not to forget.
We have a lot to learn from those who came before us. Resolve forms during times of tribulation. Last year, I went to my first Passover Seder in Atlanta.
And how did you find it?
It was moving. A young boy stood up and began asking questions from the Haggadah. He was speaking Hebrew, but I will always remember the first words the boy said after he finished the questions. He said, "We were slaves unto Pharaoh, unto Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
You have not forgotten in over 3,000 years you were slaves. You do not try to cover it up. You do not try to conceal your battle for freedom."
Well, it's not about being ashamed of the past. It's about remembering the journey.
From the day Jewish brothers helped to found the NAACP to the day that Dr. King was assassinated, the presence of Jewish advocates left its mark. Rabbi Dresner was only one of many influential Jews in the civil rights movement, but his contribution was enduring.
When a group of civil rights clergymen and leaders were sent to the White House, Rabbi Dresner was there. When Dr. King led a march from Selma to Montgomery, it was Rabbi Dresner, along with the Ralph Abernathy, who would lead the marchers in prayer.
King's experience with Dresner in Albany taught him how to choose his battles, to focus his effort by desegregating a bus station or a lunch counter. With this lesson learned, King would move forward to Birmingham.
But the movement didn't stop there. Here's the kind of song that they may have sung when Rabbi Dresner marched with Dr. King, bringing together Christian and Jewish traditions.
We're gonna lay down our sword and shield
Down by the riverside, down by the riverside,
down by the riverside. We're gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Nobody want no more. Lo yisa goy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherem, lo yisa goy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherem. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisagoy el goy cherem, lo yilmadu od
Birmingham, Alabama. one of the most segregated cities in America. Reverend Shuttlesworth, the pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church, invited Dr. King to Birmingham, saying, "If you win in Birmingham, as Birmingham goes, so goes the nation."
So King and his advisors launched the Birmingham campaign. The goal was to hold sit-ins and kneel-ins and marches to fill the jails with activists to force desegregation negotiations.
However, support for the campaign began to wane. With a new baby back home in Atlanta and the movement on the line, Martin defied local authorities by continuing his nonviolent protest. On Good Friday, April 12, 1963, Dr. King was sent to jail.
When placed in solitary confinement, King composed his transformational Letter from a Birmingham Jail. Now in isolation, a frustrated King searches for inspiration with only his inner voice to guide him.
It has been said that the muse visits while writing and not before.
I must make two honest confessions to you, my Christian and Jewish brothers. Over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate.
Remember your purpose, Martin. Be firm.
I have almost reached a regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block towards freedom is not the white sit-ins counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but it is the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who constantly says,
They say, I agree with the goal that you seek, but I can't agree with your method of direct action.
Shallow understanding of people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding of people of ill will.
Well, what did you expect?
I had hoped the white moderate would see this. Maybe I was too optimistic. Maybe I expected too much.
But Martin, there's more. The white moderate isn't our movement's only stumbling block. What about our religious brothers? The clergy?
Let me rush on to mention my other disappointment. I have also been disappointed with the church. I say this as a minister of the church who loves the gospel. But I have felt that the white ministers, priests, and rabbis of the South would be some of our strongest allies.
But you chose to come to Birmingham. You knew what you were getting into by coming to the deep South, the seat of racism.
In spite of my shattered dreams of the past, I came to Birmingham with the hope that the white religious leadership of this community would see the justice of our cause and with deep moral concern serve as a channel through which our just grievances could get to the power structure.
And instead, you were met with criticism.
I had hoped that each of you would understand. But again, I've been disappointed.
But Martin, not everyone is a critic. You can't forget all the inspiration you found in the supporters of the movement.
One day the South will recognize its real heroes.
Heroes? And what makes them real heroes?
There will be the James Merediths, courageously and with a majestic sense of purpose, facing jeering and hostile mobs, and agonizing loneliness that characterizes the life of a pioneer.
And who else?
There will be the old, battered Negro women, symbolized by a 72-year-old woman from Montgomery, Alabama, who rose up with a sense of dignity and with the people decided not to ride the segregated buses.
My feet is tired, but my soul is rested.
There will be the young high school and college students, young ministers of the gospel, and with the host of their elders courageously and non-violently sitting in at lunch counters and willingly going to jail for consciousness' sake. One day the South will know that when these disinherited children of God sat down at lunch counters, they were in reality standing up for the best in the American dream and the most sacred values of Judeo-Christian heritage, thereby bringing our nation back to those great wells of democracy which were dug deep by the founding fathers of the formulation and the Declaration of Independence.
The faith to see the invisible, expect the incredible, receive the impossible, faith that can conquer anything. Faith that uproots my problems. Faith to know God can solve them. Faith to a vision, my freedom. I have faith that can conquer anything. Faith to reach the unreachable. Faith to fight the unbeatable. Faith to remove the unmovable. Faith that stands the invincible. Faith that can conquer to reach the unreachable. Faith to fight the unbeatable. Faith to remove the unmovable. Faith that stands the invincible. Faith that can conquer
Though King's faith wavered under criticism, and his imprisonment did test him and tested his purpose, he left the Birmingham jail with a sense of renewed zeal for his mission. Dr. King's time in jail drew widespread media attention, and Birmingham soon reached a crisis point.
The movement resorted to recruiting children and teen volunteers to continue nonviolent protest when adults became unwilling to risk jail time. The infamous Bull Connor, Commissioner of Public Safety, turned fire hoses and police dogs on these newly recruited children during a march, sparking outrage across the nation.
May 8th, 1963, less than 2 weeks after Dr. King's release from jail, he announced that an agreement desegregating lunch counters, restrooms, and drinking fountains had been reached.
Birmingham proved to be a turning point in the civil rights movement, but it didn't stop there. Samuel Billy Kyles is many things: a preacher, distinguished speaker, and civil rights leader. But 44 years ago, Reverend Kyles was one of only 2 people to share in the last hour of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life.
The Lorraine Hotel, where Reverend Kyles witnessed Dr. King's assassination, has been converted into the National Civil Rights Museum. Reverend Kyles still frequents the museum, giving tours and sharing his story.
Reverend Kyles is touring the museum with his granddaughter. During their visit, she opens up about her trouble at school. She has to do volunteer hours, but finds it's inconvenient. She doesn't understand how volunteering is more than an assignment, that it's about putting your neighbor before yourself.
So I hear you've been doing some tutoring.
Yeah, I have to for school. I don't get why they want me to volunteer, though. I'm only 13. What difference can it make?
Well, let me tell you, just because you don't see a difference now doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't important. Here, look at this. It's a timeline of Martin Luther King's final days. And you know what? I was there.
You were?
I sure was. Now come here. I want to tell you a story of April 3rd, 1968.
Why April 3rd, 1968?
Well, that just happened to be the night that Martin gave his last speech.
What did he talk about?
Well, Martin talked about many things that night, like the story of the Good Samaritan.
Grandpa, I already know that story.
Well, I bet you never heard it like Martin told it.
Dangerous unselfishness.
See, Martin said the reason the priest and the Levite didn't help the man is because they were scared.
And so the first question the priest asked and the first question the Levite asked was, if I stop to help this man, what will happen to me? But then a Good Samaritan came by and he reversed this question. If I do not stop to help this man, what will happen to him? Jesus ended up saying, this was a good man. This was a great man because he had the capacity to project the I into thou and to be concerned about his brother.
I guess I've only been thinking about me. But I'm only one person. Little things would seem to make that big of a difference.
Well, I bet Martin would beg to differ. Do you know that Martin was stabbed by a woman at a signing for his first book?
She stabbed him.
Yep. And the New York Times said that if he would have merely sneezed, he would have died.
Just a sneeze. That was the difference between living and dying.
I would like to say tonight that I too am happy I didn't sneeze. Because if I had sneezed, I wouldn't have been around here in 1960 when students all over the South started sitting in at lunch counters. And I knew it was as they were sitting in, they were in reality standing up for the best in the American dream.
And then he went on to list all the moments in the movement he would have missed had he sneezed.
Wow. I can't believe something so small can make that big of a difference. Who knows? Maybe something I do could change someone's life. Choo!
See, honey, this museum isn't just about Martin. It's about the entire movement. It's not just about famous people, but ordinary people as well. Ordinary people just like you. See, God uses ordinary individuals to bring about his divine will. It's a marvelous thing.
Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up into the mountain, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we, as a people, will get to the promised land.
Thursday, April 4th, 1968, 6:01 p.m.
A single shot is fired. Martin is dead.
Martin may have died that day, but his message lives on.
In the words of the Reverend Kyles, yes, we will slay the dreamer and see what happens to his dream. The dream is alive. Aren't you glad God gives us a second chance?
This is our chance. Martin told us faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. Tonight, we have taken that first step together. How will you continue the journey? It is definitely a joy to celebrate Dr. King's birthday here at Veterans Memorial with all of you here in the audience and all of you watching at home as well.
And you know, children, as always, have been at the heart of the civil rights movement.
As a parent, Dr. King had dreams for his own 4 children, too. He wanted to make the world a better place for all the children in the world. Now, we know that the dream sounds like a lot of work.
And it is, and it can start with just a song.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our very own Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Children's Choir.
Dr. King said, "The world is all messed up. The nation is sick, trouble is in the land, confusion all around. But I know somehow that only when it is dark enough can you see the stars."
Dr. King said, like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will.
Dr. King said, "I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead, but God has allowed me to go up to the mountain, and I've looked over and I've seen the promised land."
Dr. King said, "I may not be there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will make it to the promised land."
I don't know, Mike. They just get cuter every year. Every year they just get
Fantastic.
cuter and cuter and littler and younger and younger. I feel like a dinosaur out here. You know, the children's choir is always here year after year. And there's somebody else who is normally always here. And he basically is the man who has added such a dynamic feel to the city of Columbus, helping to make it the great city that it is today. He's not with us right now. Of course, we are talking about the Right Honorable Mayor Michael B. Coleman.
And of course, the mayor is representing us, the great city of Columbus, in Washington, D.C. with the second inauguration of President Barack Obama.
But before the mayor left, he did leave a message for all of you. Let's watch.
Greetings and welcome to the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. I'm sorry I can't be there with you today, but I'm in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration of President Barack Obama. It is truly symbolic that the inauguration of America's first black president coincides with the same day as Martin Luther King Day this year. Dr. King dedicated his life to achieving racial equality in American life, fighting and marching for equal voting rights and desegregation. Fittingly, the inaugural theme this year is Faith in America's Future, which also marks the 150th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation and the placement of the Statue of Freedom atop the Capitol Dome in 1863. I'm honored to be a part of a time in America where we see Dr. King's dream realized. Thank you for all of you marching and being a part of this program today. Happy birthday, Dr. King. See you, Columbus.
Also, Angela, the Franklin County Commissioners have been great supporters of this program, and it's because of their efforts and the efforts of others that we're able to produce this program for you, free to the folks, the citizens of Columbus, Ohio.
And free is always a good thing. Now, our commissioners are also in Washington celebrating the inauguration. They also had some important thoughts about Dr. King, and they want to share them with you this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Franklin County Commissioners Paula Brooks, Marilyn Brown, and President Big John O'Grady.
Today, we celebrate Dr. King's dream and his legacy.
Today we celebrate the power of equality and of social justice.
Today we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King.
I'm Paula Brooks, Franklin County Commissioner. 84 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King was born. I lived during his years as a national leader. His short life of 39 years on this earth forever changed America, the world, and history. He taught us all the power of nonviolence to effect social change. He showed us the true power we all have when we work together. Just recently, I stood in Atlanta in the Ebenezer Baptist Church where it all began. I visited Dr. King's humble home. As a law student, I read his letter written from the Birmingham jail, and it moved me to always, always strive for inclusion of all people in the American dream, the Columbus dream.
I'm Franklin County Commissioner Marilyn Brown. Dr. King once said, "The hope of a secure and livable world lies with the disciplined nonconformists who are dedicated to justice, peace, and brotherhood." He reminded all of us that true justice is precious and we must always stand up for full and unqualified equality for one another. Our combined activism and vigilance is a hallmark of social change in our nation and the best way to honor his legacy. This holiday is a day to recommit ourselves to being a people of purpose and to exercise the power we each possess to make a positive change in all of our communities for all of Franklin County.
I'm Franklin County Commissioner John O'Grady. In our busy world, we can be overwhelmed with things to do. Work, family, social commitments. There are plenty of things that rightfully take our time. But with all of that, we know the importance of setting aside time to help others in our community. As Dr. King said, we need to create a proper sense of priorities. Regardless of our age, regardless of our gender, regardless of the God we honor, each of us has the responsibility to set aside time to improve the community around us. As the world-famous boxer Muhammad Ali once said, "Our rent for walking this planet is community service." To truly honor Dr. King's dream, we should all seize the opportunity in our community to live a legacy, not just leave one.
Let us rededicate ourselves today on this birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the second inauguration of our President Barack Obama to work better together.
The best way to say happy birthday, Dr. King, is to give one another the gift he wished for us all, the gift of respect and equality.
Happy 84th birthday, Dr. King. Thanks for teaching us how to make the world a better place.
Commissioners for leaving those kind messages before they trotted off to Washington. You know, it takes a lot of hands, a lot of hearts, and a lot of dollars, a lot of Benjamins to keep Dr. King's legacy alive on this stage. And we would like to acknowledge some of the sponsors who contribute to this effort. And by the way, we do accept donations, and those donations are tax deductible, and it is that time of year to start thinking about that. So.
Yes, so you can claim that.
Yeah.
We want to thank the Center of Science and Industry, also known as COSI.
The Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
American Electric Power, and don't forget to pay your Columbia gas.
Especially as cold as it is outside right now. Karen A. Riccio and Reverend Alan DeBlau.
Dean Mark Shanda, Trish Houston, and Dan Gray of The Ohio State University.
The Community Relations Commission of the City of Columbus.
And of course, First Class Events.
And of course, we want to thank, a big thank you to our own Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Children's Choir. Thanks also to all you parents out there who support these kids every year.
Kids wouldn't be here without their parents. And we'd like to thank all of the wonderful actors this evening, the volunteers, the entertainers who will volunteer their time and their talent tonight.
Now, at the heart of our program are students who actually research and write the script each and every year. They're so talented. We'd like to introduce to you our writers from The Ohio State University's Center for the Study of Teaching and Writing. Are they out there somewhere? Here they come.
There we go. Please welcome to the OSU minor in professional writing, Meg Stentz and Sierra Swanson. Also welcome our set designers from the OSU Department of Theater, Marnie Blayland and Trenton Bean. Thank you.
I think, just to deviate a little bit, I think these young people here deserve another round of applause because I know how hard they work.
Hard work.
Researching all the information that you have seen portrayed on stage. So thank you all very, very much. All right, I hear the music.
Cue the music.
I think maybe that means it's time for the birthday song. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I think we need to bring our soloists. Let's bring Talisha Holmes out to the stage.
You know, this is a celebration, everybody. It's a party. And I need y'all's help to sing along, too. Oh, yeah. Here we go. You know, it doesn't make much sense. There ought to be a law against anyone who takes offense at a day in your celebration, 'cause we all know in our minds that there ought to be a time that we can set aside to show just how much we love you. And I'm sure you will agree it wouldn't fit more perfectly than to have a world party on the day you came to be. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Yeah. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. I just never understood how a man who died for good could not have a day that was this sad different time will bring. So when peace our hearts will sing, Martin Luther King, happy birthday to you. Yeah, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Why has there never been a holiday where peace is celebrated all throughout the world? The time is overdue, yeah, for people like me and you that know the way to truth. It's love and unity for God's children. It should be a great event, and the whole day should be spent in full remembrance for those who lived and died for the oneness of our people. So let us hope begin, and we know that love can win. Let it out, don't hold it in. Sing as loud as you can. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday, happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy, come on now. Birthday. Sounds so nice. Happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Oh, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah. Oh, it sounds so nice. We're here to celebrate, celebrate. Yeah, yeah, come on. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Oh, you guys sounded amazing. Oh, yeah. This is a celebration. You want to come in again? I want to hear you sing. Are you ready? Are you ready to sing? Here we go. Happy birthday, y'all. 1, 2.